Can you believe that Rapunzel, this girl who's been locked in a tower for years, like literal years, people, decides to run away with a complete stranger? And not just any stranger, a thief, no less. She's been trapped in this golden prison with nothing but her magic hair and a frying pan, and then one day she's like, you know what? I'm done with this. Totally fair. So she grabs her hair, swings out the window, and runs off to the unknown because why not? So let's dive in, because this movie has so many questionable moments, and I feel like someone needs to call it out. First of all, Rapunzel has this seriously long hair. I mean, her hair's not just long, it's magical and can heal people. But here's the real question, how did she even manage to live with that hair? It's like she's had to braid, untangle, and probably wash it in the same place for 18 years, and she does all of this while trapped in a tiny tower with zero help. Rapunzel, honey, I would have burned through so many bottles of shampoo and conditioner in 18 years, but somehow, your hair looks flawless. Can we talk about this magical hair care routine? Then there's the mother, or, I guess, the woman who raised her. Mother Gothel is, hands down, the most extra villain in the Disney universe. She literally kidnapped a baby princess, raised her in a tower, and constantly lied to her to keep her away from the outside world. And why? Because she wants Rapunzel's magic hair to keep herself young forever. Like, okay, what's the deal, Gothel? We're all getting older, but stealing a child's magic to keep your face wrinkle-free isn't exactly prime life advice. Rapunzel, on the other hand, has been living in complete isolation, with zero knowledge of what's out there in the world. She spends her time painting murals, playing her harp, and singing all day, which is cute, but at some point, she's gotta be like, wait, this is my whole life now? Then, enter Flynn Rider, the thief with a really great hairline, who just happens to break into her tower while running away from the law. And Rapunzel, being the totally sensible person she is, thinks, hey, this random guy who just stole my crown and climbed up my tower sounds like someone who can help me escape this place. So, they do this whole unlikely duo thing, where Flynn takes Rapunzel to see the floating lanterns that she's dreamed about her whole life. Of course, Rapunzel is like, I'm a prisoner, but I totally know what it's like to feel free because I saw this thing once when I was 5, and it was lit. So she decides to trust Flynn, who, remember, is a criminal, to help her escape, no questions asked, even though this is basically the equivalent of getting into a car with a stranger who promises to show you puppies. And here's where it gets wild. As they're traveling together, Flynn, and everyone in this movie, keeps calling her the Lost Princess, which Rapunzel just brushes off as if it's no big deal. Girl, what do you mean Lost Princess is no big deal? You've been locked in a tower your entire life, with zero idea of who you are, and now you're suddenly some long-lost royal? You don't think it might be time to ask some questions? Oh, and let's talk about Flynn Rider for a second. This guy? He's a thief, but not the kind of thief you expect. He's charming, sarcastic, and actually kind of likable, and that's the problem. Like, how can a princess who has spent 18 years trapped with no other people suddenly trust this random thief? I mean, I get it. Flynn is good-looking and has excellent banter, but Rapunzel, honey, maybe give a second thought to who you're getting involved with. You've been living in a tower, and the first guy you meet is a criminal. At least get a background check before going on a life-changing adventure. Anyway, Rapunzel and Flynn go on this epic journey to see the lanterns. Along the way, they have hilarious misadventures, like almost getting killed by thugs, who, by the way, are the worst criminals ever, and getting dragged into a bunch of ridiculous scenarios. They also come face to face with a group of animal sidekicks who help them, including a horse named Maximus who's like the world's best law enforcement officer who's so committed to catching Flynn, you'd think he was a K9 unit. There's also a chameleon sidekick who somehow gets away with being the real MVP of this movie. But then it all comes crashing down when Rapunzel finally finds out the truth, she's the lost princess, and Mother Gothel isn't actually her real mom. Gothel, like the true villain she is, tries to keep Rapunzel captive and convinces her that Flynn isn't trustworthy. You know, typical villain stuff. And, like, why would you believe someone who's been keeping you locked in a tower for 18 years over the dude you met last week? But Rapunzel does what any strong, independent princess would do, she goes full rage mode and decides to fight back. Now, here's the best part, Rapunzel manages to outsmart Gothel, because she's finally realized her worth, and breaks free. The big showdown happens, where Flynn is wounded, and Rapunzel decides to use her magical hair to heal him with the power of true love, a classic Disney move. And it works. But here's the kicker, Gothel tries to stop her, but in the end, she falls to her doom, because magic hair can't save you when you're literally the worst mom ever. And guess what happens next? Rapunzel gets her happily ever after. She reunites with her real parents, takes back the throne, and Flynn, who's now totally redeemed, becomes her partner in crime. The two live happily ever after, and of course, Rapunzel's magical hair is no longer tied to her life force. It's all wrapped up with a fairy tale bow, and we get the classic Disney ending where everyone sings a song and lives in a magical kingdom. But here's what's still confusing, how does Flynn get away with being a thief after everything? Like, is there no jail in the kingdom? Just because you're now dating the princess doesn't mean you get a free pass to continue your life of crime. This is a guy who stole from literally everyone, and now he's sitting pretty in the castle like he didn't just spend most of the movie on the run from the law. Flynn might need a little more than a happy ending, maybe some community service. But anyway, that's Tangled for you. A magical, hair-raising adventure full of frying pans, criminals, and questionable parenting decisions. It's a Disney classic that reminds us, true love doesn't always come with a crown, but it might come with a few weird adventures and a lot of singing animals. So, yeah, tangled hair, tangled lives, and in the end, everything gets untangled in the most satisfying Disney way.